one that people are mad you have to wait for. Furious that theaters aren't embracing and opening their hands for this one movie, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Zach has mentioned, giving it the thumbs up over from Tiff. I finally got to see it. Definitely giving it the thumbs up. In fact, we've been arguing whether it's better than the first one or not. It's really close, and ties are kind of crazy to me because if you're already tying like that, sometimes the tie goes to the runner. I don't know. I am very excited to see this movie very soon. I don't want to spoil things with it other than this man knows what he's doing. I will never argue with a Rian Johnson. I disagree with a lot of the stuff that he did in some very big projects from galaxies far, far away. I would never argue with him. I've never seen someone win a fight, even if you have a differing opinion. This man just understands the source material. This is what I wanted that new Scream to be. Someone that understands the history of the mystery genre and plays with it. The other ones, what do we see how they run? Someone tweeted out, "Oh, see how they run's a movie that people are going to say 10 years from now. This just came and went." No, they won't, because it just came and went. This is a movie that understands how to flip the genre. This understands Agatha. This understands cameos that to this day I'm thinking back. How? This has some of the best cameos that after they're spoiled for you will still delight you the second time you watch it.
Yeah.
I love this movie.
It's a really fun movie. Probably the movie that has been the movie that clearly was operating under COVID guidelines and did the most with them.
One of the best COVID jokes.
I mean, so many, but yeah, it just being able to recruit so many interesting people into this film, and then also just have a film that is so rich in terms of the layers put into it, in terms of the amount of details shoved into it. Like, it's almost overwhelming the amount of things that they do reverses on.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and it's incredibly entertaining. I still put the first one marginally above, but
That's fair.
But marginal, man. It's marginal. They're both great.
We got to talk about the theater talk, Zach. Does Netflix not know what they're doing? Do the people on Twitter? I never realized that you sign up and you get an MBA with it, but are they right in saying that Netflix is dropping the ball with this not being in theaters? Netflix is not making this accessible in the limited theaters that people have that they have to pay money for. Lord forbid they release it on the one thing that everyone has access to. How do you feel about the idea of only having a week theatrical release? In your mind, is it good or is it bad for the movie?
I mean, for this movie in particular, I think it's bad. I think that part of what makes a movie a real sensation, and a sensation that carries like more than just a week, is that build, is seeing it in theaters. I think there's a reason that people are talking about movies like Top Gun Maverick and Everything Everywhere All at Once differently than they're talking about whatever the big streaming releases this year. There weren't a whole lot of them. It's just, I think there still is something about the movie theater release that eventizes this thing and makes it maybe a little bit more special. Now, people are still going to talk about it a lot when it does appear on Netflix, but I think that is like kind of limiting its window a little bit more and maybe lessening its impact. When you go to the theater, you are forced to pay attention to it in a different way than you are at home. And it's a movie that really, really rewards that attention. And I wonder if a lot of people are going to be on their phones or making dinner or folding laundry and not really appreciating all those details that we just talked about that make this movie so much fun. Now, obviously Netflix is a huge company that is changing the face of entertainment. And while this movie supposedly made a lot of money in its limited release and would probably make a lot more if they kept it in theaters, Netflix's aim isn't to be making money off the theatrical business. Netflix's aim is to destroy the theatrical business altogether. They want you to look to your TV for a new movie, not to your multiplex. So is it a good decision for the Knives Out franchise? I don't really think so. For Netflix, maybe. It's not a decision that I would make if I were in charge of the company, because I think there's there is a path to putting your movies in theaters and also having them on Netflix later that still supports the company. But but I get why they're not doing it.
I agree. Do you feel it would have had, because you had mentioned Top Gun, and that's, obviously the holy grail of what it's been able to do.
Right.
Top Gun out in theaters this weekend again.
Yeah.
Do you think it would have lasted over a month, Knives Out, in theaters? Because you have to remember the Netflix model is what? For every movie, it's just a week. Emancipation, even with Apple TV, every streaming thing. 1 week, and then it's out on the streaming service.
Yeah. Bardo, they're giving a month for some reason, but...
Because it's him, probably.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and same with
another
White Noise,
example. Power of the Dog was another one, you're right, that they gave a month from last year before it came out. Do you feel those...
Oh, those are much smaller releases, we should note. Knives Out was in 600-ish theaters.
Because Knives Out was the first time, as we've discussed multiple times in this podcast, that Regal and AMC finally picked it up. So you don't think that it's also a matter of, like, all these theaters bully Netflix, and then we blame Netflix for not being invited to play in these theaters? Doesn't Netflix also deal with points, and they don't have, or doesn't deal with points, and by going the theatrical route they would? A lot of people were saying, if you gave this to another studio, they'd be able to push it. What was the rollout for Knives Out 2? What was the meme that everyone did in every week? Would another studio have been dumb enough to allow Rian Johnson to have gone as crazy as he did, that every single person and their grandma was getting cast every week for Knives Out 2, that it became a meme? I wonder that people are like judging it because Netflix didn't release it in one way, but at least Netflix created a movie that we think is almost as good as the first and will be able to live on you can't stream the first Knives Out anywhere. Glass Onion will be available for everybody. You don't need a theater near you or whatever else. It will be available for everybody. So if I'm playing devil's advocate, I think they made the smarter choice to have it be available in the most theaters for only 1 week, not a month, and then be available right before Christmas so that this can get meme-ified in HD.
Right.
And I think still be a hit.
It's going to be a very interesting test case, right? Because we've seen big Netflix movies before. We've seen good Netflix movies before. I don't know if we've seen such a certified hit, right? Like this is... Knives Out was a genuine sensation when the first one came out, and everybody seems to be reacting to this new one by saying that if it's not at least on the level, it might be better. If it's a little worse, it's only a little worse. There's no reason this shouldn't be a gigantic hit for Netflix that is talked about for a while. Is it going to happen? Is it going to be like Queen's Gambit in that like it's still able to generate weeks worth of discussion, or is it going to be people talk about it for 3 days over Christmas and the momentum runs out? I'm curious.
We'll see. We'll see. This will be coming up with it soon. If you did have the chance to see it in theaters, I highly recommend it. This is a full out combo price for me out in the theaters. Opening day. I hope people do get the opportunity to see it there, but hey, we'll see. I'm just glad that Netflix continues to give. Marriage Story, what's his name?
Noah Baumbach?
Noah Baumbach continues to get millions of dollars. They gave millions of dollars for Glass Onion. Hey, as long as you keep making the movies, I don't care where you put them. They're all going to end up streaming anyway. So as long as the movie gets made, I see a silver lining there until Netflix runs out of money.